Привет всем. I'm recording from a new place today, so let me know how the audio sounds, because I am not sure how it's going to sound. What? Okay, we can go ahead and get started. Just again, let me know how the audio sounds, because this is a new place. This is my office at work, so I'm just not sure. Okay. So this is going to be a new thing that we're going to be doing. And we're going to talk about word roots. This is one of my most favorite things about the Russian language is all these words have a root. And then if you understand that root, you can explode your vocabulary by understanding how words are formed and how you create an adjective, how you put a prefix on a verb, etc. So one of my most favorite books in the whole wide world, and it's actually really hard to find, so I don't mean to recommend it and get your hopes up, but it's this. It's called Handbook of Russian Roots. And it is by this lady. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, there is an echo, isn't there? I don't know how to make that go away. Let me see. How do I change my settings? 1 second. Yeah, it might just be because my office doesn't have any sound insulation. 1 second. Audio. Let's try this. Okay, tell me if that's any better. Oh yeah, that sounds better as far as I can tell. Is that better? Let me know. Okay, I'm hoping that's better because it sounds better in my headphones. So, okay. Yes, perfect. Okay, welcome to my office. Добро пожаловать в мой офис в университете. So you can see I've decorated it so you guys could have something fun to listen to. Okay, so as I was saying, this is the most amazing book ever. It's out of print, but you can try and go on Amazon and try and find it. So a lot of my information I get from here. Oh, it's just amazing. It's heavenly. I could read it all day. But I'm putting all of this information into a live stream for you. If you haven't already gone over to collegerussian.com, I highly recommend using this worksheet. So it'll really help you learn all these words. So we won't go over all these words today, but here are some of the words from this root. And then here are some of the sentences, practice sentences that you can use to test yourself later. We're going to go over these today in class. So if you haven't already printed that up, I highly recommend run and do it real fast because it's going to make it more fun to follow along on the live stream today. So let us go ahead and get started. And I've never done this before. I've never done this kind of thing before. I just do it in my head when I'm learning new word roots. So this will be fun to kind of bring it to life. Okay, 1 second. Let me change the format here. And there we go. So here is our word root. Here is our word root. And the way you find a word root, the root of a word, is you need to take away prefixes. So you got to have some basic knowledge of prefixes in Russian. And then you need to take away окончания, or the suffixes or the endings. And then you kind of get your word root. So this is our word root today. Okay. Uch. And then you're also going to see it in one word as an uk with a K. And the word you would see that in is nauka. Nauka. Okay, so I'm going to treat this as a class, and sometimes I'm going to test you. And if I say, what is nauka? What is nauka? Nauka, or if you want to make it into an adjective, you would say nauchny. Nauchny. Nauka, nauchny.
Okay, so what we're going to do with these word roots is we're actually going to kind of treat it like a tree. So this is the root of the tree, and we're going to branch out into different directions. Here we go. So Uchit, you guys have heard this a million times because this is how you tell people that you're learning Russian or that you're a student. Okay, so there are various variations of the verb учить. It can mean to teach. Например, я учу американских студентов русскому. I teach American students Russian. I teach American students Russian. Okay, so you учить кого чему. You teach кого чему. You teach genitive case to something, dative case. Now, if you're just wanting to say that you learned something or you're going to school, then you would put the reflexive ending on the end. Я учусь в университете. You might also hear people say, откуда, как вы учились русскому? How did you learn Russian, например? Yep, Владимир, да, они однокоренные, правда, они однокоренные слова, правда, наука, научный и так далее. Okay, so, and then if you want to make these perfective, then you would put a na on the front. And this is specifically like with a skill that you learn once and for all. Например, я научилась водить машину в 14 лет, когда мне было 14 лет. Мой брат научил меня водить машину, когда мне было 14 лет. So that's how you really, this is making it perfective, and that's how you say like you really learned how to do something. Okay, so now from here, just from this verb with this root, we've got so many words. And this is where it's fun. You guys can start suggesting them in the comments. Start thinking of all the words you know with these, with this root. And we may or may not get to some of the ones you suggest. So here we go. We have got учеба. So if you want to say like, how's school going? You wouldn't say как школа, как идет школа. You would use this word, учеба, which means like your studies. And that is I was going to like color code all this 1 second. Let me find my purple marker. Okay, so that is a noun. Nope, not liking that marker. That is a noun. There we go, orange. Okay, so nouns are in orange. Adjectives in blue, and verbs in black. Here we go. So учеба is how are things going? And everybody make sure you're reading the comments in the side, because I think a lot of the native Russians are going to have lots of great phrases and words for all of this. Okay, so you have учеба. From here, we can create an adjective. Учебный. So for example, if you want to know why you haven't seen me on YouTube very often, потому что начался учебный год. The school year has started. So this would mean the school year, учебный год, учебный. So like pertaining to studies, anything pertaining to school, anything. Oh, yep, Alexei, that's going to be one of my words today. That's a fun one. So anything pertaining to the school year, учебный год начался. So again, учеба. Как идет твоя учеба, например. Okay, now let's get into people pertaining to this verb. Let's see if you can suggest some in the comments. So we can take the word ученик. Oh, right there. Ученик. And when you see a nik on the end of something, it's like a thing or a person that does this. Same thing with wait, what am I doing? Учитель. Учитель. Anytime you see тель on the end of a word, it was formed from a verb, 1, and 2, it's a person who does that. A person who does that. Let's make this feminine. What if it's a female teacher? What do you call it? Again, write it in the notes or think it to yourself. That's totally fine. Учительница. 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 Очень хорошо. So now let's make an adjective out of these. These are super fun. We're going to turn this into an adjective. So for example, you might have a room in your school that is designated as the Let's see, 1 second. Учительский. Учительская. The room for teachers. Учительская комната, например. Учительская работа. Teacher work. Teacher work. So see how you can take these and then even create more branches off of them. So I want you to envision like a tree happening. Okay, let's do some more fun nouns. Oh, here we go. My friend Kostya, you guys have seen some of him in videos. He went to what's called I keep screwing that up. Училище. Музыкальное училище. You guys don't know this, but Kostya is a fabulous musician. He plays the viola very well, very beautifully. So he went to a musical school. So notice there's lots of different words for school, not just школа. You have училище, like a educational establishment kind of thing. So училище is like a I don't even know if we have a separate word for this in English if I think about it. Look at what Max wrote. That's funny. Меня туда вызывали в учительскую. Right? You do not want to get called to the учительскую комнату. Like you're going to be in trouble. Good. So училище is a place. Let's see. So somebody else could suggested this one. This one's, I'm going to do one more right here. This is connected to these two. Учебник. This is one of the first words you'll learn if you're learning in a Russian classroom. Где ваш учебник? Где ваш учебник? Например, это наш учебник. Здесь, в университете. Это наш учебник. Да? Это наш учебник. So that is your textbook. Remember how I told you anything with this nik ending is like a thing pertaining to that. Yes, that's a textbook specifically. Not just any book, a textbook, a studying book, a book you use for studying. So учебник, учебник. Okay, so let's do some more. We have got, I've got ученик, учебник. Okay, and then somebody in the comments mentioned this word. It's super funny. See if you can figure out what you think it means. Не учь. Не учь. Okay, so take that word apart and see if you can figure out what it means. Не means not, and uch means learn. So it means like an ignoramus, like a person who doesn't know anything. They haven't studied. Не уч, right? So that's a fun word. Okay, good. So these are some of the different directions that could go. Trust me, there's going to be way more. Here we go. Okay, so now, yeah, so it's not studying, it's a person who doesn't study. An ignoramus is what we would probably call them. An ignoramus, an idiot ignoramus, like a person who is not learned, a person who doesn't know anything, kind of thing. Okay, хорошо. Let's go to, now we're going to do one of my favorite things in Russian, and that is to put prefixes on verbs. Yay, I love Russian prefixes. They're so magical. They're so fun because they all have very distinct meanings. So let's look at some of these prefixes. So we've got вы, we've got об, we've got при, за, до, and пере, and then there's tons more. I'm not going to do all of them, but there's tons more. So let's just talk about what these prefixes mean on their own. Вы means like, it literally means out of, or it can mean like extensively, kind of extensively, all the way through something. Об, the prefix об means like all around something. Okay, so I'm just going to tell you the name of what these prefixes mean to start with, and then we're going to talk about how would they actually how would they actually be translated. Okay, приучить means to arrive, like toward something. Okay, so start thinking, what would that mean? Учить plus toward. За, this can mean too much, and then it can also mean like extensively as well. Да учиться means up until a certain point. Да учиться. And пере has lots of meanings. This is one of my favorite prefixes. It can mean like again, over again, all over again. It can also sometimes mean too much, but in this case, we will be doing, it will mean again. Okay, so now let's start thinking, how would this work? So выучить, you would, for example, выучить стихи, наизусть. You would memorize a poem by heart. You would memorize a poem by heart. So you would extensively learn it, like all the way until you know it by heart. A fun word, what color were my nouns? I forgot already. A fun word here is a noun. Выучка. Выучка, right? Which is like your training. You have been drilled on something so many times that like you know it by heart. You don't even have to think. Выучка, for example. And by the way, Russians, if you know fun words about this, you can write them in the common phrases. Any phrases that you can think of where these are often used. Это будет, кстати, я скажу по-русски. Если вы знаете типичные словосочетания или фразы, поговорки, как они обычно употребляются в контексте, пожалуйста, приведите в комментариях. Это будет очень интересно для студентов, по-моему, читать. У нас, кстати, будут и такие примеры. Очень хорошо. Okay, so here we go. Yeah, and like I said, if you want to add some extra words that I haven't talked about, feel free to put them in the comments. This is going to be really fun for people to read. Das. So again, look at a lot of people are putting in like sayings. Как сказать пословица по-английски? I forgot how to say this. It's like a saying / I can't remember how to say that. Like a пословица, how you would say that in English, but okay. So a vychka is like your training, military training, your medical training, something like you do it and you know it by heart and it comes. Обучать, okay. So this one means to train somebody, because think about it. If you're training, you have to know all aspects of something. You go all around it. You get trained, okay. So a noun that would come from this one is обучение. And sure enough, when you see this ение, ание on the end of something, it came from a verb. It came from a verb. Обучение, изучение, так далее. Let's see. Another fun one here, an adjective that we're going to talk about in context is обучаемый, which turns it into a причастие, participle, the person who is being trained, the person who is being trained, right? The person who is being taught, the person who is being trained. Okay, let's do приучить. Приучить. So I can write in the meaning of all of these real quick. So обучать means to train, to memorize, etc. Приучить. Okay, so if you need to teach somebody toward something, what are you doing? This is a really fun one. So think of a context. So we'll talk about one, but приучить is like a skill you have to teach somebody. So the most common one is как приучить собаку, как приучить собаку к горшку, например. Like how would you treat к горшку? How would you potty train a dog? How would you train a baby to something? So this one's also going to be training, but not in the sense of like educating yourself. It's more train somebody to do a skill, like a particular skill. Okay, so super fun one. Заучить. This one means to cram, when you have like so much you got to learn. And it's very similar to выучить, but it means like you've got so much you got to do. Or like you really got to learn. And one of my favorite words that comes from this is заучка. Заучка. So that's a noun. And that means a nerd, a person who does too much studying. Заучка. Ну, почему ты такая заучка? Давай пойдем в кино. Не надо все время зубрить. Like you don't gotta like, you don't gotta take yourself so seriously in your studies. So заучить means to really study something, like maybe almost too much, okay? Oh, here, this is so fun. I'm excited to tell the natives about this one. Доучиться. Okay, so when you do something with this prefix, you do it up until a certain point, or you do it up and you finish it. You do it all the way up until a point. So I'm going to tell you guys a super funny commentary I saw one time, like on Facebook or something, and they said, like, кажется, вы в школе не доучились. So see if you can see what's the funny joke in that. There's a funny joke in there. What is funny? So they're kind of making fun of somebody, and they said, "Вы в школе не доучились." Why is that funny? Anybody get it? So meaning не доучились means like you didn't get fully educated. You didn't study all the way. And the reason why this is funny is this right here. Во, which is incorrect, right? Во школе is, you don't talk like that. You say в школе. And so they were making fun of the person for not having like they didn't доучились. They didn't get a full, good, Robert, молодец. They didn't get a full education. They're illiterate. And so they were making fun of them by saying this. So that's a funny comment I saw one time. Okay, переучивать. So if пере means to do something again, how would we translate this into English? I'm going to give you guys a second to think about that. We have a prefix that's similar to this. It's 2 letters, and we have a similar concept. Переучить, переучивать. How would you say that? If you need to do something again, how would we say this in English? Молодец, Robert. To relearn something. You forgot to do something. И мне пришлось переучить. Like I had to relearn how to. Может быть, после аварии ему пришлось переучить ходить. He had to like relearn how to walk again because he was in a car accident. Okay. Okay. So I love prefixes. Anytime I do this word root Wednesday, I'm going to go crazy on prefixes. They're so much fun. Учат в школе, учат в школе. Okay. Okay, хорошо. Let's do now. Now I have one more. Okay, so now we're going to do some sentences in context. And this is where we're going to all have fun translating. Go ahead and type in your answers. Так. So this is really complex grammar. This is really intimidating. I'm just warning you right here. This is учащихся. That is brutal grammar. Наша программа поддерживает потенциальных иностранных студентов, учащихся и учителей получить визу. Okay, so see if you can figure out how to translate this word. It's brutal. It's what's called an active participle. An active participle, and participles behave like adjectives, but it's formed from a verb. And this is just, they're so hard for us to form because then you have to put the reflexive ending back on. So see if you can figure out how to, again, this is not going to translate into English because in English, these 2 words would be the same thing. So see how suggest in the comments how you would translate it. Так. Наша программа поддерживает потенциальных иностранных студентов, учащихся и учителей получить визу. So this comes from the verb учиться. And you take the они conjugation, они учатся. You take off this part of it and fill it in with a she. And then in this case, it's getting genitive case. It is brutal. It is brutal. I'm so sorry. But essentially that word translates as people who are studying, anybody who is studying, anybody who's going to school, etc. Следующее. Можно ли сдать на право без обучения в школе? What do you think that means? So can you get your driver's license without, what did we learn? All around learning. All around learning. Yep. Except for Robert, studying doesn't work because like we have to say people who are studying. We need like 5 words in English to express this one word in Russian. I see what you're saying. Yeah. Да, на права. Good. Thank you. Можно ли сдать на права без обучения в автошколе? So let me hear what your translations would be of без обучения. What do you think? What did we learn обучение was? Remember, you teach somebody every aspect of something that they need to learn. They need to learn all the different aspects of driving. You need to learn how to make a left turn. You need to learn how to get on the freeway. So what do you think? I'm going to give it away here. Without training. Can you get your driver's license without training? So you had to learn all aspects of how to drive. Окей, он действовал автоматически. Сработала выучка. Еще та военная. This is one's fun. Выучка. Something he knew how to do really well. How would you say this phrase here? Сработала выучка. This is a really fun phrase. Сработала выучка. Gonna let you... Good. Experience. That's a good... You could explain it like that, right? So what we're saying here is he acted automatically. Like he didn't even have to think about it because he knew this so well. So he acted automatically. His training kicked in. That's how we would say that in English. His training kicked in, specifically his military training. He had been trained to operate in a certain way. If he hears a certain sound, bam, they know exactly how to respond, right? So his military training kicked in and he responded perfectly. Okay, so here you go. This is приучить. So unlike обучать, which is all aspects of something, приучить is for a specific skill, something specifically you want them to be able to do. Как приучить ребенка к горшку за 3 дня? Good luck with that. I've done that many times and it's not easy. So let's hear somebody translate this sentence. Как приучить ребенка, приучить кого к чему? So you приучить, genitive case, the person you're teaching gets a genitive case, and the thing that you're teaching them to do gets dative. Приучить ребенка к горшку. So how would you translate приучить? What is this about? This is about... Так, очень хорошо. So this is about potty training. If you've never experienced it, you are lucky. Potty training. Приучить ребенка к горшку. So горшок in Russian culture is like this little pot that babies use at first to sit on and go to the bathroom. So that's this little thing that they use. Here in the US, we have those kinds of things, or we have little things we put on the toilet as well. So this is how to potty train a child in 3 days. Again, good luck with that. I've never been able to do that. Here we go. Okay, so another person in the comments had mentioned отучить, which is the opposite of приучить. And I want to point out to you that if you have от right here, you're going to have it again with the thing that you need to teach somebody. So if I tell you от means away from, off of, away from, what do you think this means? Отучить. Let's read the sentence. 5 шагов, чтобы... как отучить ребенка от гаджетов. Как отучить ребенка от гаджетов. What would that be? От means away from, off of. So again, in English, we don't have these words. We have to use multiple words to express the concept. So I want to hear what you think. How would you say if от means away from as a prefix and учить means teach or learn, what are you trying to make that baby do or that child do? Как отучить ребенка от гаджетов? So how would 5 steps to... Oh, see, we don't have this word in English. To kind of break a habit, maybe. To break a habit. To break a child's gadget habit. So to train a child away from gadgets. To break a child's gadget addiction kind of thing. So you could отучить себя от сигаретов. You could train yourself to not need cigarettes. So it's essentially teaching yourself a way. Oh, wean off. There we go. That's perfect. Thank you. Wean off. Thank you. Wean off. Honeying loon. Got that. That's exactly the perfect phrase, because you отучить ребенка от груди, like you wean them off the breast, for example, if they're breastfeeding. Okay, очень хорошо. Again, if you're liking these sentences, I have them all on the worksheet that's on collegerussian.com. Вот. Следующее предложение в контексте. Oh, this one's fun. Какие малоизученные территории остались на Земле? Hello, welcome back, Sajad. Здравствуйте. So let's look at this. This is a two-part word. We have two roots happening here. So we have the word mala, and then we have изученные. If you just have изучать by itself, it means to study, right? But then we add in a word like mala изученные, and notice this is a participle. This is a past passive participle. So the thing that has been studied. And then we have a word like mala. How would you translate that? Малоизученные территории остались на Земле. Малоизученные территории остались на Земле. Так. What do you think? Mala means little, not very much. So not very much studied. Again, I don't even know how to say this in English, but I would probably say, what undiscovered territories are left on the earth? What undiscovered territories are left on the earth? Okay. Ooh, look here. We have two words with the uch root. So we have nauka, and then we have ученые, and this needs the little dots on top. Ученые. So this was a website. I just Google searched, and this was a website I found. Репрессированная наука. Ученые уничтожены в СССР. Okay. So repressed science. Scholars. This is a great word. Ученые говорят. So you're going to hear this depending on the level of Russian news you listen to, but it could be scientists or it could be scholars on a particular topic. The learned people, right? It's like the learned people. So ученые, scientists, scholars who were уничтожены, obliterated, or that's not the right word. Cannot think how to translate уничтожены. What's that word? They were gotten rid of, kind of. I can't remember how to do it. So essentially they were exterminated, right, in the SSSR. Again, if you remember when we talked about the Stalinskaya repressия from Anna, there we go. It destroyed, killed, exterminated. So when we talked about Requiem, the poem from Anna Akhmatova, this was a period of time where any scholar on something, scientists, they were eliminated. They were gotten rid of, right? And guess what? In fact, this is really fun. This is a side note. But look at what the word root is here. Ничто, which means nothing. They were made into nothing. They were made into nothing. Again, word roots in Russian are like just so fun. So they were made into nothing. They were eliminated, etc. 8. Короткие поучительные истории из жизни настоящих людей. Okay, so we have an adjective. We have an adjective happening right here. Поучительные. Поучительные. Да, 1930s under Stalin. The repressions started in about 1937, and they proceeded until Russia got kind of distracted with World War I. And then they continued after World War I, World War II. And then they continued after World War II as well. Depersoned, that's a funny word, but we don't really say that in English. I've never really heard that before. Okay, this is a fun one. Поучительные истории. You might tell this kind of thing to your child to teach them a lesson, to teach them important things in life. So let's try and think of поучительные истории, поучительные сказки для детей. So that would be like, how do we say this in English? I'm forgetting English. Поучительная история. Like a life lesson kind of thing. Something instructional. It helps you to learn. It teaches you something. So short and instructional stories, life lessons from the lives of real people. Da. Oh yeah, so Alexei is saying it started a lot earlier than 1937. That's good to know. Yeah. Окей, хорошо. Номер 9. Мальчику пришлось долго практиковаться и фактически переучивать родной язык с нуля, чтобы окружающие его понимали. Okay, so пришлось мальчику, the boy had to practice a lot, practice for a long time, and pretty much have to relearn his native language from zero. He had to relearn it, чтобы окружающие его понимали. So people around him understood him. Так, хорошо. Вот. Okay, and then our last one, and that will be all for today, is он учит детей. Remember that словосочетание. This one took me forever to learn when I was learning Russian. Учить кого чему. Teach, so you do genitive case, and then whatever you're teaching them gets dative case. That's not necessarily here in this sentence, but anyway, I just thought I'd remind you of that again. So here we go. He teaches children. This is so confusing. Учить can sometimes be to learn, and it can sometimes be to teach. And you really just have to look at the context to know which is which. С пониженной обучаемостью. Oh, this is a hard one. Okay, so this one comes from the verb обучать. Do we remember what that means? To teach all around something. Okay. Then we turn this into an active passive participle, or a present passive participle, which is обучаемый, meaning the person who is being taught or the person who is being trained. And now we take an adjective, as you can do in Russian. You can take off this ending and put an ost on the end of it and turning it into a noun. So how would you guys translate that? Он учит детей с пониженной, with lower, diminished обучаемостью, the ability to be taught. Обучаемость, пониженная обучаемость. School ability, that's not, no, there's no such word. Yeah, see, this is what's interesting about these. We don't actually necessarily have good words for these in English, but I would translate this sentence as learning disabilities. Learning disabilities. So it literally means with lowered teachability. But that just doesn't make really any sense in English. So we'd say learning disabilities. Disabilities. So he teaches children with learning disabilities. Yep. So, хорошо, это все. I'll be back on Monday. So now that the учебный год начался, все успокоилось немножко. Everything is calmed down. My office is ready, and I can return to my live streams. So мы увидимся в понедельник. В понедельник мы послушаем песню «Если у вас нету тети». So we're going to listen to a song from a very famous movie, and we're going to talk about genitive case. It's going to be a genitive case focus. And we will see you all on Monday for Musica Monday. И это все. And then I'll see you guys next Wednesday as well. If you have a suggestion for a route you would like to see explored, let me know on the community page. What time on Monday? Хороший вопрос. Час. Same time. 1 p.m. Same time as usual. В час. So, or same time as right now. So this is my new time for live streams is 1 p.m. Okay? So, да, увидимся в понедельник. Это будет музыка Monday. И мы вместе будем изучать песню, которая называется «Если у вас нету тети». If you don't have an aunt. It's a very funny song. Хорошо? And then we'll see you next Wednesday. I am open to suggestions, not only for Musica Monday and poetry понедельник. Nope, not Central Time, Eastern, New York City time. I'm in Washington, D.C., remember? So we'll see you guys then. The new time is 1 p.m. New York City time. Хорошо. Again, if you would like to see me talk about a specific word root, go ahead and put it on the community tab. And I will start coming up with a lesson associated with it. Окей, хорошо, это все. Я была рада вас видеть. Я вернулась, не переживайте, я вернулась, и лайвстримы будут. Хорошо, это все. До свидания. Увидимся в понедельник. Пожалуйста.